Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our music episode of the Dialogue Dome thing that we do here today. What's up?
Hi, I'm Brendan. This is Max.
I'm Max.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yes.
Hi. It's the music episode, Brendan. We're talking about it's not necessarily music. The episode we're talking about I've already fucked it
Oh
up.
my
I've
god.
already fucked
It's
it up so
okay.
much.
It's okay. We're talking about bands that have been absolutely ridiculed by memes, but they're incredibly successful, and we don't really
Yeah.
know why they've been ridiculed by memes. So we're
Yeah,
gonna kind of do a little bit of a combination of both talking about them and looking them up today. So that's why if there's gonna be some pauses, that will be the reason why we'll probably be looking up stuff.
exactly.
But yeah.
So, yeah. So, I kind of want to start with, well, I mean, like the one that everybody probably knows, fucking Nickelback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you remember Nickelback? Do you remember what was going on?
Oh yeah,
Like,
I
way
will say
when?
this is guilty pleasure here. I still listen to Nickelback.
Fucking same. That's kind of like what brought this all on in the first place. This whole episode was just me thinking to myself, what the fuck happened to Nickelback? And
Mm-hmm.
why why did they get so much ridicule on them? And okay. So this also comes after Deadpool 2, because Ryan Reynolds
Right.
had that whole fucking thing in the PG-13 version of Deadpool 2 where he like goes off on essentially all of the people that fucking hated Nickelback and laid into how successful they have been, how successful they currently are, and all of that. And I just kind of started thinking to myself, what happened and why?
Yeah.
Do we even know what like happened?
Well, they're still making music. We'll start there. They're not.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. Nickelback. We'll start with Nickelback because Nickelback seems to be
sure.
the main focus of this. Um, Nickelback still makes quite a lot of money. They make about $500,000 a year, which is still
Really?
a lot of money for a band that's been memed over the years.
Sure.
I'm not exactly sure what happened to them. Their net worth is currently so Chad Kroger is the name of the lead singer.
Yeah, he's the
He's
lead
the
singer.
guy with the blonde hair that used to be down to his shoulders. Now he's cut it.
Right.
But it basically, he was very famous for a long time, and his net worth alone is $60 million. That's just based off of
Really?
that's essentially based off of a bunch of different websites that I'm looking at here on my
Okay.
brand new OLED iPad,
Oh, nice.
which by the way I got today.
Ah.
We also have the guitarist and the keyboardist. His name is Ryan Peake, and his estimated net worth is $50 million. So just alone, the net worth of both of those players combined is $110 million
Yeah,
from that band. So they're
that's
not
fucking
unsuccessful.
insane.
They have been very,
Right.
very successful. I'm not exactly sure what happened to them. They just kind of became just ridiculed with memes when
Right.
Facebook came out. Like, I remember when Facebook came out, or like in high school and middle school, everybody just said, "Oh my God, Nickelback is horrible." And I went to
Exactly.
college. I went to Berklee College of Music, and everybody was like, "Oh, Nickelback's music is like so awful. It's trashy. It's like all this." And I'm like, "Then how are they selling out arenas of people if their music is
Right.
trashy?" And I mean,
How are
yes,
they
you could say
so
that to anybody, but
successful? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, exactly. Like, I still listen to Rockstar because it's like it's a good song. It's got a nice beat. It's I don't know. I think the consensus is there was something on Comedy Central. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but a comedian on Comedy Central like made a joke on one of their talk show type things about how he just absolutely hated Nickelback, made some passing comment on the music at the time, which if I'm not mistaken, it was fucking How You Remind Me. Um, at the time, How You Remind Me was played like on every radio station at any given moment all across the country. Like, it was the number one song at the time for radio to be playing, and I think that's where everybody got the kind of burnout from Nickelback, because I can totally understand that being the thing, but then the joke happened, and then Comedy Central used that joke in a ton of promotional material, and I think that's where it really started. That's where it really kind of festered into its own little fucking thing. And there's a great YouTube video. I'm also trying to remember this one as well. I have it somewhere. I think I even gave it to you and showed you. If I can find the guy, here it is. How Nickelback became the most hated band ever. On Sunny V2's channel, and he goes into a lot more detail about like time, events, what was going on, the culture at the time. Like, I think it's a pretty good video that people should check out. First of all. But yeah, fucking it's insane that they got as much hate as they did over a fucking meme.
Agreed. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because their music isn't even really that bad. I mean, when I've heard much worse music over my lifetime than I have with Nickelback.
Sure.
At least Nickelback, I can sing back their music. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
But, I mean, I think it's just Nickelback in particular. I think the only real reason is just because they've had really bad press. Like, I just feel like they've had just really bad luck with press conferences and interviews, and they kind of they don't make a fool of themselves. They just kind of have this bad habit of picking the wrong people to interview them and all that stuff. And then, of course, you know, the other one is Chad Kroeger also dated, I don't know if you know this, he dated Avril Lavigne at one point. They dated for about, I don't remember how long they dated for. I think it was a couple of years, but Avril Lavigne, broke up with Chad, and Chad then became kind of like the center of like being made fun of just from that alone. So I don't know exactly if that's kind of where a lot of this starts or a lot of this comes from. But at the same time, like, I just find it so odd. Like, I mean, there are some memes that have, you know, become culture at this point. Like, one of them is, like, the photograph meme. I mean, everyone knows the look at this graph, you know? It's just so funny. So funny. The other one would be, but there was one, you know, like, one of the music videos that I remember watching over the years was Far Away. You know, that song Far Away, it's about the firefighter. It's a really beautiful song, and the music video is incredibly well done. And for anybody who actually hates Nickelback, like genuinely hates Nickelback, I encourage you to look up Far Away by them, because that song will maybe change your mind, because at least if you don't like his voice, that's something I can't control. But the music video is fantastic. I think it's great. Personally,
I agree, and I mean, there's a lot of them. Again, I've been listening to Rockstar. How You Remind Me, despite the fact that it was overplayed, is still a really good song. That's why it was probably overplayed. Burn It to the Ground, fucking Lullaby. There's so many of them that I don't get it. I don't understand why people are so hard set on
culturally hating Nickelback. It's like it's like you're literally like you are like not ridiculed, but you're like pushed aside if you say something like I like Nickelback. Like if you say that, you are like not going to be
Right.
involved in the group ever again. And I don't get
Exactly.
that. Like,
I don't either.
I'm not going to say I like Nickelback at all. I'm not even going to say that I enjoy listening to their music. I just have a couple of songs that I remember that are nostalgic for me growing up with them. And I still
That's
listen to a
fair.
couple of them because I enjoy
That's
them.
fair.
But I would
Yeah.
not say that I'm a Nickelback fan, if you know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean.
Like, and I think I also agree. Like, I'm not a huge Nickelback diehard. Like, I'm not going to die on this hill if it really comes down to it. But I just want to understand, one, how they became so hated, and two, why it even fucking matters to everybody that that's really just kind of become the cultural icon, especially in the early 2000s. Like, that was just the thing to do. And because the internet told me so, I have to hate Nickelback. Otherwise, I'm now left out. I'm now pushed
Yeah.
aside.
I mean, I don't know if a lot of it has to do with Kroger himself. I mean, I know that he's kind of like a
Sure.
douchebag in a lot of ways
Is he? Well,
sometimes.
I mean, there's a lot of those in bands, and we like push that
Yeah,
aside.
I'm gonna bring up one later, but there's
Yeah,
another one. In fact, I could bring it up now if you want. The other one I'm thinking of is
sure.
Maroon 5. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people love Maroon 5.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of their music personally,
Mhm.
but Adam Levine is just I mean, he's
Yeah.
gotten better over the years, but when he like really started to become famous, he was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that kind of showed him off as being a dick, and I know it was supposed to be considered acting, but like
Sure.
when he was in American Horror Story, he was in season 2 Asylum, which is one of the
Mm.
most loved American Horror Story seasons ever.
Mhm.
With good reason, by the way. It's incredible. Ryan Murphy did an amazing job with it. But
Mm.
um I'll just say that like he kind of was just like he was such a douchebag in
Yeah.
that season, like acting wise. And I know it's supposed to be acting, but I've heard
Sure.
he's kind of like that in real life too. And I don't know if that's true. I could just be
Mm. Mhm.
I could have just heard that, and I
Right.
don't really know. It
Just
doesn't
the
really
rumor
matter to me.
mill, but
Adam's never going to listen to this episode, but
that's
it's
fair.
just one of those things that you know, if he really is like that in real life, then I can see
Mhm.
why he's not he, that the band is
Sure.
hated, but
Sure, sure, sure,
I
sure.
think one of the most hated songs by Maroon 5 is this one called "If I Never See Your Face Again," and the original is good, but
Mhm.
then they did a collaboration with Rihanna on
Hmm.
that song, which is a very odd combination to have Maroon 5 and Rihanna,
Right.
But um Rihanna sounded okay, but like the combination just didn't really work, and it's just everyone was like, "Oh my god, this combo is awful." Like, what? Who thought of
Mhm.
this? Who approved this? All this stuff. So I don't know,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I know you don't really know much about Maroon 5, but another
I
one,
I don't know too much about them, no.
one of my favorite
But
albums by Maroon 5. In fact, I think I actually, because we were about to do this episode, I think I actually
yeah.
listened to them. Again. Recently. Let me look at my Apple Music.
My goodness, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get a sponsorship? We already had this episode.
I know. That's the point. Um, where is it? I just listened. Yeah, it won't be soon before long. That's the album. That's their.
Yeah.
That was the one right after Songs About Jane, which is their most famous album. That's the one that's
Mhm.
the most famous song is "She Will Be Loved" from that song. She
Yeah.
will be loved. You probably heard that
Oh, yeah,
before.
yeah. Yeah, I do know that one.
But then after that, is "It Won't Be Soon Before Long," and that one is one of my personal favorites because of "Makes Me Wonder," "Wake Up Call,"
Mhm.
"Little of Your Time." Oh my God, there's just so many. "Back at Your Door." There's just so many hits from that album. That's a
Mm.
really good one. And then they have
Okay.
"Payphone." They have "Misery." One of their other big ones was "Animals," "Sugar." I mean, there's just so many songs. And then there's a new album that nobody listened to called Jordy. I don't know.
Mm.
I can't even name a single song from that album. But anyway,
Alright.
yeah, Maroon 5. I don't know. Maroon 5 is a really good band. I don't know why they're like so hated over the years, but like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Whatever. I mean, Adam Levine is kind of the most famous person from that band, but
Sure.
he was on The Voice. He was a judge on The Voice for a long time, like I think 7 years or something, 8 years.
Wow.
He did a
Impressive.
long time with that show.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I talking about Maroon 5, it also kind of reminds me of like fucking like Evanescence, right?
Mm.
Not because like Amy Lee was hated though. That was the thing, was like Amy Lee had such a
Whoa.
fucking, oh sorry, camera. Um Amy Lee got like the short end of the fucking stick every possible fucking chance,
Hmm.
which is so unfortunate because Evanescence is another one of those bands that was just so good and then just kind of fell off, I
Ev-
think.
yeah, Evanescence is to this day my favorite goth rock band. Like, I
Yeah.
will
Oh.
straight up, I will go to my grave saying that. I do
Mhm.
not care what people think about me for saying that.
Sure.
Evanescence, I have such a soft place in my heart for Evanescence. It's
Mhm.
going to be there forever because I just think that Amy Lee with Evanescence was the first time that I had ever heard like goth rock music.
Mhm.
Whether it be, popified or not, I don't really care if you call it
Sure.
pop goth rock music. It's still like the emo rock era, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so that one holds a special place in my heart because that brought me through a lot of my middle school era, which I was
Mhm.
kind of, this might surprise some of you out there. I actually had a very, very big emo side to me in middle school, where I started wearing all black and like all this like dark clothing, and like I
Mhm.
considered getting black nail polish at some point.
Sure.
Which, funny enough, I actually bought black nail polish so I can paint my nails again after all these years. Um, but
Nice.
it's just one of those things where, it just got me through everything. Like
Yeah.
their album Going Under, or no, not their album.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that their album
Or
name? Oh my
that might
God,
be the
Evanescence. Such a bad Evanescence fan. Oh my God. Fallen. Sorry,
yeah.
Fallen.
Fallen.
Fallen actually just got a re-release. It was remastered for a 2023 release, which is kind of cool.
Really?
It's the 20th anniversary of it. Can you
Ooh,
believe
I'll
it's been
have
20
to.
years?
God, I don't remind me.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out though. That would be sick to listen to a bunch of those remastered.
Yeah. But I mean, like, just looking at Fallen alone, let's just look at that
Mhm.
album. Just that album. We have
Yeah.
Going Under, Bring
Yeah.
Me to Life,
Right.
Everybody's Fool, My
Right.
Immortal,
Right.
Imaginary, Taking
Mm.
Over Me, My Last Breath, and Whisper. We have 8 singles that all were #1 on the Billboard hit,
Mhm.
which is
Fucking
just
that's
nuts.
just crazy. Like it's
Just one, their debut album got all of
right.
that stuff. And I just cannot believe how successful they were. And then you go to their
Right.
second album, The Open Door, and it wasn't as successful, but their most famous one from
Sure.
that one is Call Me When You're Sober. You've probably heard
Mhm.
that you probably don't
Yeah, yeah.
recognize the name, but if I played it for you, you would know exactly what it sounds like.
Sure, sure, sure.
Um, and I don't know why, when The Open Door came out, that
Yeah.
was when everyone started their bullshit with not liking them. And I don't really
Mhm.
know what the reason is. I think it's because The Open Door has
No,
such a different sound than they originally had. And that's
maybe.
because, I don't know if you know this, there's I don't know if this is true, but there's like a rumor or a theory that Evanescence had to make a pop album in order to get the record label to sign them. And then
Mm.
once they were successful, they did their own thing, which wouldn't surprise me if that happened because it's kind of how the industry
Maybe.
works.
Yeah, the
But
music industry is definitely weird. I wouldn't like I would wager a guess. I obviously don't know. I'm not in any of these backroom meetings, but I would wager a guess that Evanescence and maybe even Maroon 5 kind of fell victim to maybe what happened with Nickelback, where they had that one song that was just played over and over and over again on the radio. And because like YouTube wasn't even created yet, and like like the iPod just came out, if
mhm.
that.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
yeah.
you only could listen to songs
On the
on the
radio.
radio.
And it was
So
always playing.
yeah.
Yep.
So if it's always playing constantly and you're hearing the same song over and over and over and over and over again, like I could totally see people getting frustrated with that, and that might like lead into why Evanescence probably fell out of favor. But I could also see like there are some really hardcore fans that fucking I don't even know. They latch on to an idea. They latch on to this idealized version of the band or the music that they're listening to, and then if it deviates even slightly to any direction outside of that perceived whatever, then it's bad. It's obviously bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sucks that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't leave room for improvement or growth.
yeah, I mean, Amy Lee alone was the victim of that, because what happened was at some point after the Open Door, when the band started getting made fun of, she had
Mhm.
this moment. It didn't happen, but she had this moment where she was thinking about branching away from the band and just doing herself as a solo artist,
Yeah.
or making herself as a solo artist, I should say. And she released an EP of some of the songs that she had written
Sure.
over the years. Your camera's out of focus suddenly. It's so
Is it?
weird.
That is weird. Did that work?
There we go. That's better. Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
it's okay.
We'll just cut that out. We'll cut it in post.
Whatever. There was a point where she had branched off to try to do her own thing for a little bit, and then what happened was she released an EP of a bunch of songs that she had written that didn't make it into the band for a good reason, because they're very different sounding. And
Sure.
so she started releasing this like synth music. It was basically her singing over a bunch of different synthesizers.
Okay.
And she was ridiculed for it. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, every single like music journalist out there who listened to this band said this album is the worst thing she's ever put out, blah 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 blah. Just got so much hatred for it. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was just different. I think that's kind of good, right?
Right.
But that kind of forced her to go back to the band again and kind of cut out that idea. There was one song that she came out with called Sally's Song. I don't remember what the music was from. It is Sally's Song. Hold on. I need to actually look at. It's from,
'cause I know.
Yeah, it's from Nightmare Revisited, the album.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's the last thing she did as herself as a regular artist, to prove to people that she wasn't crazy for wanting to do it. And so what she did was she released Sally's Song from Nightmare Revisited.
Yeah.
And I'm, funny enough, adding all of these songs to my playlist for the car as we speak while I'm doing this. It's just one of those things where she released it and it was like, it blew up. It became so successful. And then she was like, this is what you could have had, but you made fun of me. And then she went back to Evanescence. And then recently in like 2022, I think she released some stuff with Lindsey Sterling, which is awesome. So she has gone back out to do her own thing again a little bit. But
good.
But then another example of where, just Evanescence alone, another example where this happened, where it was a different sound, right? Was an album that she released in 2017 called Synthesis. It was right after their self-titled album, which was in 2011, which was their big comeback. So, like, the Open Door, it was 2006. There was a lot of talk about the band, like, disbanding because there was a lot of financial issues. Amy Lee couldn't find enough of a replacement of, a guitarist, drummer, all that stuff. They just kept leaving while they were on tour. So there was a lot of talk of her disbanding Evanescence completely, because she's essentially the owner of the band and the name now. Right. So they finally released their self-titled album in 2011, which was a huge hit. It sounded exactly like their old Fallen album. It was exactly what people wanted, and it was a huge hit. But then they released an album called Synthesis, which was basically orchestral arrangements of all of their old music, and it was half and half. People liked it and people didn't like it. And then they released another one in 2021 called The Bitter Truth. It was right during the pandemic. And it was, again, exactly like what people wanted, and everyone loves them again. So I just feel like they're on this weird train of like not liking them, then liking them, then not liking them. You know what I mean? It's just it's so silly to me that anything that sounds different is ridiculed. I don't know. People need to try new things. Like,
I agree.
People need to be okay with trying new things.
Right. Because, I mean, it works with so many other people. Look at Panic at the Disco. Brendan Urie is probably the best example I can think of. Because when fucking I Write Sins, Not Tragedies came out, everybody loved it. And everybody was like, oh my goodness, this song that you've made is great. And it hits my nice little emo whatever in place there. And then, like, the new stuff, High Hopes, is still one of my best things, but it sounds nothing like that. It sounds nothing like the early Panic at the Disco stuff, but everybody still loves him for it.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't other people do the same thing? Why is Amy Lee confined to this box, but Brendan Urie is allowed to thrive and do things and experiment? What the fuck?
I know, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And
Bothers me.
It bothers me too, because it's just like people want to try new things and try something different. And I know that at the end of the day, Amy Lee probably doesn't give a shit about what people think. I mean, she's made so much money. I don't think she could possibly care anymore. But at the same time, it makes me upset that people insult her when she does something different.
Yes.
It really does. It's I don't know. That's just an example. Like, she is another example of someone who has changed a lot over the years and then goes back to her older stuff and people love it. And weird.
I think we as a society are getting better at it. I mean, like, over the past, like, even just a couple years, I've noticed that people are more willing and more accepting of new and different ideas and change. But do I tread on this? Fucking Taylor Swift fans. I know where it's fucking, oh my goodness, dangerous territory here. Fucking talking anything about Taylor Swift, but just you guys are a little nuts, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Did I do it? Do we have to cut that out of the podcast? We might have to cut that out of the podcast.
Yeah, if we lose, we're gonna lose like 60 listeners.
We're gonna lose
just from
so many people. We're gonna lose so many people. But just like, fans, you can be fans. I'm not going to say that you can't be fans, but you need to allow your creatives to be able to experiment and do things that they want to do and be a part of the cultural zeitgeist that everybody kind of wants to do. And if everything is the same, then nothing is cool or awesome anymore. It's the problem that I think AI art has at the time, currently, is everything's the same. Everything's the same fucking thing, and it's getting boring and whatever. Sure, it looks good, but it's boring as hell.
I mean, I think since we did open the can of Taylor Swift, let's just talk for a second.
The can of Taylor Swift worms.
Yes. I think Taylor Swift personally is the perfect example of someone who's successful with the changes that she's made, because I mean, she's a prime example of someone who didn't really care about what, like, record labels thought about her when she was releasing her music. You know, record labels tend to make you try to do things when you sign a deal with them. Like, I'll give you another example. I don't know if you know Adam Lambert. Adam Lambert is one of my absolute favorite American Idol contestants that to this day is still incredibly successful. After he released his first album, they wanted him to do, like, RCA Records wanted him to do a second album with him doing all 80s covers. And he was like, absolutely not. I want to release original music. And like, he had to leave the record because of the record deal because of that. And it's just kind of ridiculous. And Taylor Swift is another example of somebody who has had that kind of problems where she's had to leave record deals. She founded her own record label just for this reason, so she wouldn't have to deal with this anymore. But she's the perfect example of someone I think that the change has become incredibly successful because she started off as a very heavy country artist. You know, her first album is, you know, still to this day is such a great album. I mean, Teardrops on My Guitar is such a great song. But then she released, you know, oh God, I don't know that. I haven't memorized the names of Taylor Swift's albums.
We're going to be roasted alive. What are you doing? We're going to be roasted. People are going to hate us.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I think it's called Fearless. Yes, it's called Fearless. Okay, good.
Okay. Saved it. We've got the viewers back.
Okay. Fearless is fantastic. She did a great job with that. And then there was Speak Now. That was a good one. And then there was Red. My personal favorite's Red. I love Red. Red's a great album. And that was when she started to do her pop stuff. She started to put pop in the country. She started to do, she still was doing the country stuff, but she started to put pop elements in the country. And she took an enormous risk with album number 5, 1989. She went completely off of country and went to pop. And that was a huge risk that she could have very easily suffered a lot from. She could have completely, if she had not done it correctly, she could have lost all of her fans. You know what I mean? But she did it in a way that I think was so smart, which is essentially she kept the same writers, she kept the same structure in all of her songs, and she just replaced a lot of the country instruments with just regular pop instruments. And I think it was perfect. I think 1989 is easily, to this day, one of her best albums. Easily. Yeah. It's great music. Songs are great. You know, we have, you know, I'll give you an example. Do you remember that album? 1989?
This is where I get roasted. I know Shake It Off and Teardrops on My Guitar, and that's about it.
Well, the good news is that Shake It Off is from 1989.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah, so you know that album. So
okay.
We have Welcome to New York, Blank Space, Style, Out of the Woods, Shake It Off, Bad Blood, Wildest Dreams. Those are some of the big hits from that album. And all of those songs, Wildest Dreams is one of my personal favorites. I just love that song. And the music video is so beautiful. She's wearing this gorgeous red dress. Oh my God. It's just, mwah. What's it called? But anyway.
No, but I mean, like, obviously Taylor moving on, but obviously Taylor Swift is hugely influential, not only for culture in general, but like she's obviously super popular and deserves every last fan, dollar, anything, all of it, all of the praise, all of the awards. Like, she obviously is very good at what she does.
Yeah, I missed the Eras tour. Unfortunately, I was going to try and go to that one, but it's on Disney Plus. I need to still watch it, but
that's fair.
But what were you gonna say at the end of that?
No, I'm still tiptoeing around this because I'm very scared of Taylor Swift fans. Very scared of you guys.
Loyal. They're very
loyal. Very, very loyal, and there's how do I talk about this without upsetting anybody? You just need to take it down a notch, I think, is really the best way I can say this. Is that, like, when you go out and you start threatening like threatening people just because they don't like a song that you also like, that's a little insane. And I think we just need to rip that Band-Aid right off and say, you need to chill.
There's
We're
one
just
album.
we're going to rip that off and say it's okay to not like the same things that you like. It's okay for critics to not like certain things. You don't have to listen to them. Do you know how many Robert Ebert film reviews I fucking hate? But I don't go out and say he's an asshole. He just doesn't like the same stuff that I like. And that's okay. People are different. That's what's so beautiful about all of us. And if I were to be completely honest, I think the one thing that I really don't like, and I don't know if this has actually happened or not, I think Taylor should really come out and say, maybe you guys should chill. Because I can say that all I want.
Please, she loves it. You know she's making
Does she
tons.
love it?
They're worshiping
she
her like
probably
she's
is
the
loving
second
it.
coming of Christ. Of course she
Yeah.
loves it. It's like, do you know how much money she's making off of merch alone? I'm pretty sure that
I guess that's true.
that alone is giving her a reason to not do it. I mean,
Yeah,
I know a
maybe.
couple of people who own all of her CDs, all of her vinyls, and all of her posters for her albums, all in one place. I mean, like, that's just crazy to me. But
that is kind of crazy.
you know,
I don't know.
I don't
just
like any artist that much personally, but
fair. I just think moralistically, on a moral standpoint, she should come out and say, you guys need to kind of chill a little bit. The threatening people just because they don't like me is too far. Don't fucking go out and kill people because they don't listen to my stuff. That's too much. And I mean, I can say that all I want, and maybe people will listen to me, but I know for a fact that they will listen to her.
yes.
And I don't know.
Agreed.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's close that lid and never talk about it again.
Yeah, opening up the conversation to Taylor Swift is always going to be a yikes.
It's
Big
exactly.
yikes.
Even after all of that praise, I can still see somebody being, oh, you fucking hate Taylor Swift. It's like, we've just spent like the past 5 minutes praising her.
Yes.
Whatever. Fuck
it's
it.
5
I don't
minutes.
care.
It's not long enough. It needs to
It's
be
not
5
long
years.
enough. You need to spend your whole life. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now official. The Dialogue Dome is now rebranding as the Taylor Swift Dome. Welcome to the channel.
Welcome to the channel, everybody. Oh my god.
I'm Max. This is Brennan. We are officially changing our names to Taylor Swift legally, so that
Yeah. Her hair will be the entire dome.
Yep. It'll be the whole dome. We only talk about Taylor Swift from now on. No, okay, I'm done. I've made my jokes.
Oh god.
I've done my bits. We're going to die.
No, you're gonna die. I only said good things about her because it's true.
I guess that's true. Well, I said good things about her, and then the one thing that I didn't like, which was her not telling her fans to fucking chill. I mostly talked shit on her fans, and even then, I didn't even do that. I just said chill.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. All right, so
so Three Doors Down is also
yeah, Three Doors Down. Okay, let's actually move the topic. Three Doors Down. Three Doors Down is a band I love. I don't understand that one at all. That to me is weird. Let me see here what this website says. So I have a website here that explains kind of the hatred. So it says here
for Three Doors Down, yeah,
it says for all of these artists.
Oh, for all of them. Oh, all right.
It's called Best Life is the name of the website.
Best Life. I will have to check that out.
Never heard of it. Hold on, let me look on my new iPad here.
Apple fucking sponsor us and fuck Android for some reason, I guess. All right.
In the early
Samsung, you're shit now. Fucking
this is called. This is now the Apple Dome. We're rebranding.
We're rebranding
again. Sorry,
legally changing my name.
The
to
Taylor
Steve
Swift
Jobs.
era is gone. Everybody. All right, so it says here in the early 2000s, this rock band managed to remain incredibly successful, putting out a platinum-selling album, Away from the Sun, and maintaining a steady presence on the Billboard 100 chart. Though
Okay.
now that the band has faded into a cultural punchline, we've come to realize that the band's ultimate kryptonite was their desire to make music at all, and we all suffered for it. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. They're obviously taking a jab at Kryptonite, though, the song, which, why? It's a good fucking song. Are they trying to say that Kryptonite is the joke? Maybe it's falling on victim to the same thing where it was just played over and over again, because Kryptonite was, in my opinion, one of their better songs. But, like, I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
I'm looking up some other things here. I sit here, so
Sure.
I think it really does have to come down to the fact that, again, you know, their main song that was played the most was "Here Without You." Remember that song? I love that song personally.
I might remember that.
It says here that a person in a forum says, "I remember hearing 'Here Without You' on the radio at least twice an hour." And I feel like a lot of people didn't like them because they were so sick of hearing this song on the radio. I feel like that's going to be a common thing we see.
I think so too. That just songs are overplayed over and over again on the radio, and that's why people just hate it. And
so this should be, hold on. Okay, so then
okay.
This is my open letter to radio stations around the country and around the world.
Right.
If someone says
dying art.
If someone says, if one of your two viewers says that you should change your music to be more diverse, listen to them, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe stop playing the same music on the radio every 2 hours, and then maybe people will stop making fun of people.
Seems like a lot, right?
It's a lot to ask, but your two viewers don't like it, so
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. It's actually one viewer because I don't listen to the radio.
0 then, because I don't either.
Okay, well then there you go. I'm sorry. Whatever. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to bust down our doors like the fucking FBI and
if someone
come and
from
get us?
Listen, if somebody from Boston radio stations from Kiss 108, which by the way is so funny to say out loud because that is such an old thing to say. If people from Kiss 108 are listening, it's not Kiss 108 anymore. I don't know what fucking frequency it's on anymore, but Kiss 108, stop playing Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
All I hear is Black Eyed Peas on that channel now. And that's why I stopped listening to it, was because while I like Fergie, I don't really like Black Eyed Peas. So
sure, that's fair.
That's just me, though. That's my opinion. People who like Black Eyed Peas, it's just my opinion.
Okay, here's my open later to K-Bear 101. Because I know you're still K-Bear 101.5. Fucking, I don't know what's going on with you nowadays. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're still successful, but I haven't listened to you in like years, since high school. You do you.
It's really funny and really sad. There's going to be people who are going to be listening to this that are not going to know what 108 or 105.1 means or all of that stuff. Yeah.
Never going to know.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, we're going to get super popular and they're going, K-Bear 101.5. And then they triangulate the exact location where I'm at within like 100-mile radius. And it's like, okay. This parasocial relationship. I don't know you. You don't know me. Let's keep this, like, I'm having fun. I tell jokes. You do not come to my house.
Exactly. Yeah, please don't come to my house, Kiss 108. All right, we gotta end the episode. It's already been enough time. Yep.
Has it been? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, fucking, I guess, closing statements. Who's some of your favorite bands? Do you remember any of the stuff that we've even mentioned? Do you like any of the people that we fucking mentioned? And hey, maybe you do hate it. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that says, hey, you have to love Nickelback. You have to love Amy Lee and Evanescence.
You have to love Taylor Swift, but she's the only one.
You do have to love Taylor Swift. I hand to fucking God, you have to love Taylor Swift or you will die. End of discussion. But I mean, this has been me, Max, and you, Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us on the Dialogue Dome.
Thanks for joining us. This was a very interesting thing to talk about.
This was a very interesting one, right?
I think it's so funny. You actually, don't think I've ever added more songs to my car playlist in like weeks than I have today.
Right?
But like seriously, it's so interesting to go back over these old bands again because like, you know, there's a lot of them that are still like really popular for some reason.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you know,
for sure. And it's also like we talked mostly about the early 2000s. It goes back 50s, 60s, 20s, and it goes forward fucking today. Like this is not a new thing. Everything is all cyclical. It's a giant circle, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Anyway, well, thanks for listening to another episode of the podcast or watching if you're on YouTube. Again, my name is Brendan. This is Max. Feel free to check out our most recent walkthroughs on YouTube. We started doing gameplay walkthroughs now on our channel, and we're going to continue to do them because they're fun. But we'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.